Hello, welcome to the Film Vomit Podcast, an extension of the Vomit series of podcasts. As always, we're your hosts, Mac Taylor and Cole Selby. And today, and Cole's camera actually stayed in the whole time I did that intro. Yay! Today, we're finishing a trilogy. We're talking about Hell House 3, The Lake of Fire.
Yeah.
Cole, tell me about your thoughts going in and where this movie took you.
Well, I was a little excited to see what they would do with it, because a lot of stuff has happened, like there's a lot of stuff that we don't really know the full story about, especially with the last movie. It dropped all the little story arcs in there. I think I actually kind of got what I expected this time around. Slow. A lot, like kind of like it was really slow, honestly, for me, and not in like a bad way. The movie still went by pretty quick, but
it was only an hour and 25 minutes.
Very short. It wasn't as like action packed as the other movies were, with like the scares and stuff. They were still good. They still had good stuff in there, good tense moments in a way. I was expecting to not care about the cast again, just because there was just too many people to try.
A lot of people in this movie.
To try and like jumble around. So I got like the main people, like the lady and the cameraman and the main guy who
the characters we care about, the lady, the cameraman, the guy with the money,
and his friend,
his friend guy. All these classic characters.
They're all so like, and that's about as much as I care about them too.
Like I had to like look up the people's names again because I didn't remember anybody. The only one I remembered was Wins, and that's because they say it like 17 times in the movie. So nevertheless, we're gonna jump right in. We're gonna talk about this. I mean, I got a page and a half of notes, and there's no trivia on this movie, so this is probably gonna be a quick one. So we start out in another documentary about how there's a tragedy that happened at the Abaddon again. Mm-hmm. And we're watching that documentary made by someone.
Yeah, made.
So many documentaries.
It is a lot. Like, is there all of them are documentaries, and
it's actually kind of hard to keep up with whose perspective we're really seeing.
Yeah, especially with this movie. This movie shifts a lot, like with its camera, like how it edits things. It's
it gave a lot of the other cast cameras, so we get a lot of just like random footage, and we never really know what's happening half the time.
Yeah.
So basically, the Abaddon Hotel was going to be torn down, and Wynn bought it and is trying to open his show there, Insomnia, which is a story about the God and the devil making a bet about a soul.
Yep.
Which is way too on the nose.
Yeah, a little bit.
And this show was also a hit in New York and is moving to the Abaddon Hotel. So weird is like almost beat for beat, like hitting the first movie.
Yeah.
And the Morning Mystery crew is filming this because their first host quit after the people disappeared. So now we get the new host, Vanessa, and her camera guy, Louis.
Yeah.
And so like we get interviews with the actors, and they just seem like your typical douchebag actors.
Yeah.
Like they're all like what you would think theater people are.
Yeah, this kind of remind me of like high school fucking cast, just how they fucking act and goof all the time. Which I guess kind of settles in like their relationship with each other, but I never really got much of how much like
we didn't spend too much time to really know the ins and outs. We kept cutting other shit, and so it's hard to care.
Yeah.
And they all seem to be very aware of what's happened at this hotel before, very recently, and are just like, nah, it's whatever.
Yeah, except for like the British guy, the British actor, whatever his name is,
Gregory.
Yeah, he didn't know anything until like he was told in the interview. He was like, "What?
What?
What?
but
What are
but
you
unlike the Hell
doing?"
House crew, they're not sleeping there. So
Yeah.
good for them.
Yes. Yes.
And Wynn has all these rules. Like they're not allowed to go off alone. They're not allowed to be in the hotel after they're done working for the day. Uh, all good safety precautions. Good
Yeah.
job.
Yeah. Like, and like these are just like huge red flags a little bit. It's like I'm not allowed to be on set by myself. Like
Yeah. Or like, I'm
that's
not allowed to like hang out around. Like, yeah, it's questions should be raised, but
yeah.
these guys are getting paid a lot of money.
Yeah.
So they're
Yeah.
just not caring because they're getting paid a lot of money.
Yeah.
Uh, and so we meet Jeff, who is basically like the Mac of the Hell House crew. Like he's the friend of Wynn. And even though all these strange things keep happening and Wynn keeps shrugging it off, he keeps letting him get away with it. And when we meet him, he's very well. Before we meet him, we get some setups. Like they're plugging this new wine that Wynn has, and there's a power outage. And he's like, they think they see something. He's like, oh, it's just the Abaddon eyes. You just think you see things out of the corner of your eye. I'm like, no. And then they show this footage later, and I literally couldn't see anything.
Yeah, yeah, I could, I
like they zoomed in, and I was like, I still don't see anything.
When they did that zoom, all I could think of was like, oh, fucking like Discovery Channel.
Yeah, I thought that too. It had very like Hunt for the Bigfoot vibes.
Yeah.
Like, look at that right there. And it's like, what is that? I don't see anything.
Yeah. Like it's like that just I was like, well, that's it's like, oh, I really do think I saw something, guys. And it's like you're zooming in on a shadow, dude. Like,
yeah, like and you can't even make out. This looks like the light coming in through the other side.
Yeah. Yeah, like and I like how they did the it's like, oh, like the lighting, like the electricity shuts off every now and again. It comes off in like 10 seconds and they do that one time.
Yeah. He says this happens all the time and we never see it happen again.
Yeah, I was like, when that happened, I was like, oh, that's setting up.
It's gonna set up a gag later.
Yeah.
Nope.
No, it doesn't. It's like, nope. Actually, we got all the electricity and wiring figured out like right after that happened.
Yep, it's crazy. After that, man, if we had an electrician come up here, that shit never happened again. And then we meet Russell, who's very friendly out the gate, but he's also a little like strange and standoffish.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't consider this a good meeting.
Yeah. Yeah. He's like, he came off as like a really big of like a little bit of a dick.
Yeah.
First too, for me.
And he's not like that the rest of the movie.
No.
So it's like they wanted his character to be one thing and then they changed their mind and they never reshot that footage.
It's almost like they like had like some rewriting and just forgot to begin, like
how
they wrote him in the beginning.
Like they wanted to make him more dickish and then they're like, oh no, wait, we should probably make him more like sketchy.
Yeah, like it was weird how they kind of portray, and like him and like his associate, whatever his name is, the dude who like runs, like is like his COO. What was it?
Jeff.
Yeah, he comes off right at the beginning as like a little bit like of a dick in a way, but you actually,
he's just a business numbers guy.
Yeah.
He's very nervous all the time. I understand.
You get like the understanding for that, but with Wynn, it's just no.
It's very at first he's a big dick, but then he's just kind of just sketchy because they kind of have him as the red herring of the plot. So then they like do a meet and greet with the rest of the cast to basically set up all these camera angles they're gonna have. And the main four performers that we get to know kind of get to know are Gregory, Max, Jane, and Isabella. And Wynn hesitant to use a camera. He's like, oh, I just don't like being on camera. It's whatever. And again, I thought this was going to be a thing later, and it kind of was, but it's not really.
Yeah. Like
there's a lot of things that seem like setups and they're not setups.
Like, I don't know if that's on purpose or not either.
Why would you purposely like write things in and then never have them pay off?
like maybe it's like a writer's kind of weird jerk off moment. It's like, oh, I'm gonna fool the audience or something. I
It
don't
didn't really
know.
fool me. I was just kind of like,
Yeah,
so what was that in the beginning?
yeah. It's kind of like in the last movie where the kid, where that plot point with the kid, like the
Yeah, and
kid
you
when he
think
was a
that's going to
kid,
be the
like
main thing,
yeah,
and then we never talk about it again,
yeah. It's
and
like
we still never talk about it again.
maybe it's just a trope of the series, like set up things then never resolve them or never use them ever.
We just got a bunch of random nonsense with some spoopy moments in there.
Yeah,
Yeah, it confused the hell out of me.
yeah,
And then they set up that before the Hell House incident, there was like a county fair hayride that had an accident, like right across the field from
yeah.
the hotel.
And
That
that
was,
like
and they never explain what
yeah,
actually happened.
yeah. I think like either like two people went missing or got hurt or died or something.
Because
And
they say this thing happened, and then they never elaborate. No one ever
no,
says what it is.
like like why did they even have this point in there?
You
It's so
don't need
weird.
it. It never comes into play.
It doesn't. It doesn't.
Other than to be like, oh, I think this is gonna go somewhere, and then it never does. Uh, so Jane, she goes in a room and is scared by Max and Gregory, who set up one of the freaky clowns, but not like the
Yeah,
main spoopy clown we see all the
yeah,
time. It was one of the other ones in the basement.
yeah.
And that's only in there just for a jump scare. Uh,
Yeah.
so Jeff's worried
I
about.
guess it's supposed to show that they're
We're supposed to see them
chill with each
interact a
other,
little
I
more,
guess. Yeah.
but again,
Yeah.
it's not enough.
No.
But Jeff's worried about Wynn's finances because his banks keep calling, all of them.
Mm-hmm.
And that actually does pay off later. We do find out what that is. One of the only things that's a through plot point.
Yeah. Which is a good plot. I kind of like following that plot point. That was like it was
Yes.
more subtle. Like it wasn't hammed in. It's just like them talking about business stuff, and then it just keeps coming up.
Yeah. Because we meet Father Paulus.
I think so.
Because he sends a package, and Wynn doesn't let anybody see what the package is, and then they interview the guy, and he's like, "Yeah, talking about the gateway to hell, and in the Bible, someone needs to close it." Again, kind of hinting at what we're doing later, but not overtly.
Yeah.
And then they had this conversation like at the fairgrounds. They even show like a shot of the fair working.
Yeah, which was like I thought we were going
for
to get
no
like
reason.
I thought we were going to get like some fair found footage or something of some spooky shit, but we only get like that.
We get that drone shot.
Yeah,
that's it.
It's like,
why?
Hey, there was a fair here, guys, and ooh, something spooky happened. It's like, dude, stop.
But it's not even shot in a spooky way.
Yeah.
This looks like an advert for this county fair.
Yeah, it's like, man,
doesn't make any sense why we did this.
Just remember that fair. Remember that fair? It was a thing. Remember that.
And then she finds like the Ouija thing that Brent had in the second movie.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, this is weird. And then walks on like she didn't just pick that up.
Picks it up. It's like, I don't need this. Toss it. It's like, I thought she'd like hold on to it and do spooky shit.
Nope. Nothing gets paid off really cool.
No, it doesn't.
It's all just random.
There's a lot more unresolved stuff than I realize now.
You're like, you know what? On second thought, this movie doesn't make any goddamn sense.
Now talking about it, it's kind of ridiculous.
And then we get like interviews with Vanessa, and it kind of makes you think like, oh, is she dead like the last two movies?
That's what I was thinking like the whole time.
But in this one, I was like, well, this is the last one, so she's probably gonna actually be alive. Yeah. So you didn't get me, movie, but that actually made sense. That was a good red herring. So they do a little bit of rehearsal, and when the girl's like, so what's my character's motivation? They're like, let's go to dinner.
Like this was like what, a week before the show?
Yeah. Like, why are you just now asking these questions?
Yeah. That's like at the very beginning you ask.
Yeah. Like that's when you're still learning your lines. Yeah. Like, oh, hey, what is my character feeling here? I mean, the only time that it is acceptable to ask those questions like during a production is when you're shooting a movie because you're on a tight schedule. When you're doing theater, you have so much time to figure this stuff out.
Yeah.
figure it out. Don't be like, oh yeah, I know we're going on in like 2 days, but like, what does all of this mean? What am I supposed to feel this whole time? Like, what?
And they were like, I thought they were a little too patient with her. I would have been a little upset. A week before the show, you don't even know you're motivated. You don't even know how you're supposed to feel yet.
Sounds like a full mental breakdown.
Yeah.
Hofer would have had an actual mental breakdown
God.
if someone had asked that.
I remember him yelling so like several times as goofing around.
As someone who's ran productions after high school, I understand.
Yeah.
I get it. So yeah, they have this bonfire and everyone gets all drunk and they're like, Jane, I dare you to go down to the basement in the hotel where all those people were murdered and boop that clown on the nose. And I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you guys? You know what happened in there.
Yeah, for real. Like,
and you know you're not supposed to be by yourselves.
Yeah, they're breaking 2 rules. They have no buddy system and they're going in after they're not supposed to be, and that's already stupid.
And this is, even without those rules, this is just a really stupid idea.
Yeah, really.
So, but she goes in and she's cracking jokes and she doesn't notice all the ghosts behind her when she tries to do like the selfie shot.
Yeah, and I've noticed every time someone does that, there's usually something right behind them too. Whenever they go for the camera, turn around,
because you got to scare the audience. Like, but because it's not like the demon people and it's just like the Hell House crew, it's not very scary. It's just kind of like, and there they are.
Yeah, it's like cool. I guess they're ghosts. They haunt the place now. I guess. Thanks. Let me know.
So she goes to the basement. She boops the clown on the nose. Yeah. And she turns around and she turns back around and now it's standing up.
Yep. Yeah.
She freaks out.
Freaked out.
But she like stays on the stairs. She like runs up and then like, I guess maybe the door closed or something. But she just like lays on the stairs. I'm like, you should have a little more of a response than to just lay on the stairs.
Like, I can understand like you're in a high tense situation and drunk at the same time. So stairs can be a difficult thing to manage under those circumstances, but I would at least crawl up the stairs.
Yeah, she just laid there. It was like kind of screaming, and I'm like, what? No, like there's a spoopy clown man down there. Do something.
Yeah, I was wondering if she was going to get whacked this time or not, but I was like, no.
But no, she survives and she stays.
Yeah, she doesn't show up for like a few days, I think they say, and then
she gets back to work.
Yeah, like I would not. I would not go
after
back.
A clown doll stood the fuck up. That's it. I'm done.
Yeah, I know they're trying they're trying to play it off as like people like pranking each other, but
how could someone have pulled off that prank?
Yeah,
all of her friends were outside.
Yeah, I don't think
nobody is supposed to be in there.
Yeah, they're just going along with it.
A mannequin stood the fuck up.
Like, why do they even keep the clowns in there? They were getting rid of
why do they keep those in the basement? And why do they keep all the shit on the walls?
Yeah, like Jesus.
Like they kept some of their props for no reason.
Yeah, like that's not,
like they threw all the other shit outside. You think they put the spoopy clowns outside?
Yeah, like that's the last thing that could fit your theme of your.
This heaven and hell thing has nothing to do with spoopy basement clowns.
Yeah, get them outside, set them on fire. You don't need them anymore.
Especially when they just stand the fuck up on their own.
Especially when they just fucking move. They're not supposed to do that. The first movie went all about how they don't move.
Yeah, the first movie made a big deal out of that. And then when they did move, they were like, "This isn't right. They shouldn't move." Yeah. And in this one, they're like, "Oh man, that's fucked up. All right, so over here we're gonna put that." I'm like, "Well, no, wait a minute."
Jesus. Like
I understand why Wynn is shrugging off all these red flags, but everybody else should not be.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just kind of confusing. Then they talk about Wynn's car accident. Basically they like he was in a car accident, almost was pronounced dead, but then came back to life and has been not the same ever since. That's why he has a scar over his eye. That's why he kind of looks like a general in a video game.
Yeah.
Then Isabel gets like separated from the rest of the group. Like they all like go in and she like waits a couple of beats and goes in the house. I'm like, why didn't you just follow them in? So she goes inside, and then she sees a room 2C and someone under the sheet. And I'd be like, nope, just walking on by here. Don't need to ask any questions. And she's like, Jane? And then it just falls down flat. And again, no, fuck that.
Yeah.
And then she turns around and there is Sarah there to attack her. And so now Isabel is gone. And I think she's dead. They never really say. They just assume she quit, but I don't know if anyone saw her. It was not very specific.
I don't. The movie isn't very clear when it comes to that.
And her SD card is missing.
Yeah.
And Harvey's like, look, she wouldn't just quit. She's a good worker, and I'm getting kind of worried the shit's going down here. And I'm like, yeah, you should be. We should ask a lot more questions.
Really should.
And then they show Isabel's photos from her selfies, and you can clearly see the Hell House crew in various photos in the background.
Yeah.
Again,
it looks so weird. Like just so some dude creeping around the corner. It's like, it's not even like scary. It's just like, oh, there's that guy who is dead or presumed dead, I guess.
Right. And then Vanessa has a run-in with the ghost of Jessica with the zoom lens.
Yep.
Because it like fades out and she's like, what? And then she zooms back in and you see her all messed up. And she's like, oh, God. And then Wynn manages to convince her that she's seeing things.
Yeah.
And Louie's like, yo, now I saw what you saw on the camera. That's fucked up. Why are you not saying anything? She's like, I don't want to be written off as the scared girl. And I'm like, stereotypes aside, girl, you need to survive.
Yeah. And they do I don't want to be called like all that misogynist thing, like
sexist
stuff
shit.
Sexist
but it's
stuff.
like, again, you need to live.
Like
I'm scared too. Like, let's get out of here.
Yeah, I
poor Louis. He's got dragged the fuck in there.
Yeah, he's just simping for her, I guess.
Yeah. So then they go to Wynn's hotel and find the second. Basically, he's watching the second movie. And again, done. You don't need to keep asking questions.
Yeah. Isn't it like at this point, like, ain't some of like those tapes like still not technically found or something?
Yeah,
right?
he got the footage
Yeah.
from the second movie, but it wasn't out. He had it. It was sent to him by Tully.
Yeah.
So he kind of shoos them away, like, hey, what are you guys doing in here? Get out of here. And then Harvey's doing a light test. And we're like, one light comes on and you see the girl in the background. Then it comes on again. You see she's standing behind him. Then she just kind of touches the back of his neck.
Yeah.
He kind of freaks out, but then he like kind of shakes it off and continues. And I'm like,
yeah,
it's one of the only like scare moments in the movie.
Yeah.
Besides Spoopy Clown Man.
Yeah.
And then we see that Vanessa says, you know, the difference between Alex and Wynn is that Wynn knew what he was doing. Because Gregory is talking to a woman and Harvey and Jeff are kind of on the other side of the wall listening, making fun of him. And then when they turn the corner, they see that she's not there. And he's like, what the fuck? Did you guys not see her? She was like right here. And she said her name was, she basically, he described Sarah from the first movie.
Yeah.
And again, there's no way a human could have physically gotten out of that room in 2 seconds with you not knowing.
Yeah.
Her voice changed toward the end of the sentence.
Yeah.
Which is not possible.
No.
Get out of there.
Yeah. Like, they must be getting paid really good money.
Yeah, like, how are they making like $40 an hour? Like, Jesus.
A lot of money.
Like, and even for that amount of money, I'm not going in here.
Yeah. That's rough. That's a rough time.
What's the use of all this money if no one gets to spend any of
it? Like, you're gonna die, man. We're
gonna get murdered by demons.
Yep.
So Win knew what was coming, and the night before the opening, he seems very off. Like it just seems very strange. So Vanessa talks to him and decides we're going to interrogate the father about what he said.
Mhm.
And he's like, basically, he's liquidating all of his assets at midnight.
Yeah.
And instead of like trying to warn people, they just put this in the news immediately.
Yeah.
With no subtlety whatsoever. Like, what is wrong with you people?
Like,
And then
even
they
at this
still
point,
go
yeah,
to the
yeah,
opening. I'm like, if you're trying to blow the door off this thing, why the fuck are you there?
yeah. And it's like if I'm an actor, okay, or if I'm working for him and he's liquidating his stuff, like why are you even there with him anymore? You're
Yeah,
not even
clearly
getting
you're not
paid.
going to get paid.
Yeah,
He's not going to have anything to pay you.
yeah,
Yeah, it was very, very odd. And then they show up. The news footage plays for everyone. Jeff just kind of has a debacle with Win, and then everything proceeds like normal.
yep.
And I'm like,
Like,
the actual fuck, guys.
yeah,
Uh, and Vanessa and Louie put on masks and they decided to go in the show. And I'm like, what?
yeah.
No, why? You know what's going to happen.
Like, and they do know, and they're
And then they
still like,
show never before seen footage from Hell House where you see Win in the background at all these meetups, even from the second movie. He's been
yeah,
following this whole thing this whole time.
yeah. And this is when it started getting really a little confused, real confusing to me. I'm like, why? The fuck?
Uh,
Like,
and so then opening night happens and Spoopy Clown Man appears.
yep.
And nobody on the crew that saw that asked any questions.
Nope.
They're like, how'd that thing get from the basement to the kitchen? Nah, it's whatever. Like, what? No, like that's a genuine question.
Yeah.
How did this
Like,
mannequin randomly just fucking appear?
like if anything, it's messing up your set. And you
Yeah,
like,
people have to like squeeze by it. Like, this is not cool. The safety hazard.
yeah.
Uh,
Real safety has once we know.
yeah, once it's a possessed
Yeah.
clown mannequin,
Yeah.
but
Yep.
but also it's just in the way.
Yeah.
So Jeff investigates technical issues, and Win talks to Tully. Tully's like, and for some reason Tully's face is all fucked up. And like, didn't he hang himself? Like, why is his face all fucked up?
I don't know.
Doesn't make any. Did he get in a fist fight in hell? Like, I don't understand.
He started just whooping some demon ass when he was down there, dude.
And he's just basically like, you fulfilled your prophecy. And then Win appears in the crowd, kills Gregory.
Yeah.
And then the hooded men appear and just start stabbing the fuck out of everybody. So much blood.
Yep, they just get everybody.
They even leave the house and like getting people leaving. I'm like, God damn, they could do that?
Yeah, they're just swarming outside now. Yeah, the it's a little bit. Yeah, it's kind of. I guess it's kind of cool that they let them also run outside too a little bit. They're not.
Yeah, it kind of adds like you're still not safe once you exit the house.
I bet that's what the fucking fairground hayride thing was about. It's like, oh, the spirits can go outside the house too if it's close enough. I guess.
And like,
maybe
was that in proximity of it?
Like, maybe this is the reason why they.
But they never say why. Just say it. Have some story. Give us a newspaper article. Just let us know what the fuck happened. Or is that the fourth movie? Is it a prequel?
I bet this is up. Maybe it will be explained then if they make it.
All will be explained in Hell House 4, the county fair. So yeah, then Win goes and gets the thing he got from the father and attacks Tully with it, which burns the house down and closes the gate to hell.
Which, like, what, like, do we ever, what was, like, do we ever see that thing that he gets
we only see the outline of it. I could not tell what it was.
Yeah, I had no idea what it was.
I kind of looked like a cross.
But, like, I don't know what he was grabbing. And, like, why would he have to have it all packaged up and be all
the holy hand grenade.
Like, fucking, yeah. Like, people just have those. Like, you don't have to be all secret about it. Like,
Yeah,
you can't keep secrets from ghosts if that's who you're trying to keep a secret from.
that's true. That is true. uh, so yeah, the gates closed, and I guess people survived because obviously Vanessa was alive.
Yeah.
And made this documentary. So
yeah.
I guess people lived.
Yeah, I'm like, we even see her like get like, don't we see her die? Well, like,
no, she actually gets out.
Yeah.
Because at first she dives behind the bar while everyone else is getting murdered.
Yeah.
And then like she gets like starts to get like drug away, and then she manages to get out. Because I think when he closes the gate, anyone who's not all the way dead lives.
Yeah. Maybe. Yeah. Yeah. Because I mean, they're all alive. So I don't know if she.
Well, the Hell House crew is trapped in
yeah.
the hotel, even though it's already burned down. It's like a
yeah.
afterworld version of the hotel.
I guess.
And they all have to come to terms with their deaths, and they decide to go to the bar, even though they're ghosts. And that's Hell House 3. It
was a weird ride.
Yeah, the first one was definitely the best movie. Because the first one it's tense, it's genuinely griefy, and I like the ambiguity of it all.
Yeah.
Whereas the second one just felt like the first one with less quality.
Yeah.
And the third one just felt like we had a lot of loose ends we had to tie up, and we still somehow made more loose ends than we started with. Because again, what the fuck was that fair thing? So that's Hell House 3. Cole, give us your final thoughts and ranking. Or whatever.
It wasn't that long. Give it that.
It was very short.
Short movie, fast-ish movie. I mean, yeah, it all, you get all the cool, like really cool, like kill effects, practical effects stuff at the end, when everyone actually starts dying. It actually does look kind of cool. I do like the shot where the camera like falls on like the rotating
and the Lazy Susan
disc. Yeah, and then it's just panning around as people like dying and stuff. That was pretty cool looking.
The blood splattering in the heaven room was good too because
really
the lighting with it was nice.
Yeah, that was really good. Again, like I didn't care about any of the characters. I couldn't. Nope. There was too many of them. Like I'm trying to keep track of like an entire cast and crew in my head. Like, while the first one was just like the 5.
Yeah, the first, and we spent a lot of time with them, even though we knew they were gonna die, and there was other like characters interviewing and stuff. We spent like a good like hour and 10 with those characters.
Yeah, and it's not mind blowing like in any way. This movie, it's painfully average, and then in other cases, it's below average. So
yeah. But I think it was better than the second one.
Yeah, I liked it better than the second one. The second one was just...
But the first one is like leagues ahead of the other two because it actually, like, you could just watch the first one and feel totally fine.
Yeah. And, like, I don't know why we had to get the whole purgatory thing at the end there with the first cast, like, first crew. Like,
well, I guess, like, their souls they're not in hell anymore. They're just kind of... here. But and does that mean that everyone else is also like that who was murdered in Hell House? Because we only saw the 5, but what about like the girl in the basement and Joey and all of the different people that have died, the people from the second movie?
Like, because
do they all have their own individual versions of the hotel?
These are what I like to call plot holes.
There are a lot of them.
But they don't yet. I guess they just do it just to have a little bit of a feel-good moment for the original people. But
this has made me want to spend more time with them.
Yeah, like, okay, they're ghosts.
But also, Alex tries to push the door out, but the door is designed to be pulled.
Yeah.
Like, you can clearly tell by the way the door frame is that you pull it open. Yeah. And that if he would, like, it would have easily popped open, like, as you could see the give in it.
Okay. And it's I'm gonna get 5.5.
Yeah, I'll give it a 5.5. The second one was probably a 5, and the first one I think was like a 6.5.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's we did the whole Hell House trilogy. We finished another round of sequels.
Yeah.
Next time we're going to do Metropolis, which is going to be a different thing for us here in the pod.
Yeah.
And then we're diving into the Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise, which will be a long franchise and a lot of 8 movies. And they're all incredibly different. So yeah, this would be fun, but I'm glad we get a little bit of a break before we head into the next thing.
Yeah.
So until next time, stay safe, stay nerdy.